think we're going to slow this down and we're going to get some knowledge today because I feel like that. I feel that we need to go a little bit deeper because I don't believe in doctors without a cure. I believe that if you're going to say anything about anything, if you're going to speak on a subject, don't speak on a subject without leaving us with a cure. Don't talk about an issue if you're not going to give us an answer to some of the questions. So what I want to do, I just want to go off strip a little bit and let's really go into what's really causing the effects of what I call a mental illness that is happening in our culture. And we have these Sotomayors and people that, basically think they're psychologists, in which I would label as a doctor, that are giving you these misdiagnoses. So let me tell you, and let me give you a little bit of insight on what I feel is really going on here. Now, we know if you go to a doctor, and a doctor say you have cancer, the first thing he does is he goes to the root cause of the cancer itself. He asks you questions like, do you smoke cigarettes? Is there any history of cancer in your family? So he asks you those questions because he's trying to get down to the root cause of why you have cancer. Even when it comes to solving a crime, what is the first thing they do when somebody's murdered? They go to forensics, for they can find the root cause of the murder. They look for blood splatter. They look for gunpowder residue. They look for fingerprints because they're trying to get to the core reason why this murder even occurred. Now, even in psychology, now this is where we really want to go, because I feel that a lot of things that black people are going through, my people are going through, is a mental illness. Now, even in psychology, they go to the core reason. When you have a mental breakdown, what is the first thing they do when you go see a psychologist? They ask you personal questions like, have you been molested? How did your parents treat you? Were you physically abused? They always go to the core reason why this happened to you. Now, this is where the questioning comes in at. Why, when it comes to black people, they don't want us to go to the root cause of the whole situation? You have a lot of people that are telling us that we should not go to the root cause of what happened to us. And that doesn't make sense. So they don't want us to go back to slavery. They don't want us to go back to the mental and physical abuse that our forefathers experienced and what we inherited. The everyday stress that we go through being black people. Because we pay attention to how people treat us. We pay attention to how people look at us and how they perceive us. So therefore, I diagnose that as a mental illness. Now, tell me if I'm lying. When Caucasian people have a mental illness, they're told to go see a psychiatrist. You need to go see a psychiatrist. Okay. But when it comes to black people, when we have a mental illness, we're told to suck it up, get over it. This is why a lot of black people never go see a psychologist. Because we have been taught to believe that you are the cause of your mental illness. So now we're going around feeling guilty of our own mental illness, So therefore, we won't go see a psychiatrist because we believe that all the things that we're going through is self-inflicted. But that's what we've been taught. Now they don't want us to even go to the core reason why we are the way we are. So now they say, don't bring up slavery. Don't bring up none of these things. But when it comes to all these other professions and situations, we know they always go to the core reason. We know the doctor goes to the core reason. The psychologist goes to the core reason. The crime physics, they go to the core reason. But when it comes to black people, no, we can't bring up slavery. We can't bring up none of the things that led us into who we are today. And that's the problem. And a lot of these people are on YouTube. That's why I call Tommy Sotomayor a doctor without a cure. Because they can break down everything that's wrong with you. But the problem is they're carrying the same message that America has put on or in the minds of black people. That you are the cause of your own mental illness, getting tongue twisted today. But you are in sole possession of your own mental illness. That slavery didn't have nothing to do with it because it was so long ago. And it was your forefathers that experienced that. You didn't experience that. See, but these idiots don't understand that a lot of things are passed through genetically. Stress can be passed down genetically. Cancer can be passed down genetically. High blood pressure can be passed down genetically and generational. So they want you to believe that you can't feel the stress of your forefathers, but you actually can. But the thing is that they're telling us that we are the reason why we are the way we are. And we don't have the right to go back to the core reason. We don't have the right to go back to slavery. We don't have the right to go back to the core cause of the effects that we are experiencing today. And this is a game that they play with us. Because they know that if we wake up and realize and go back to the cause of it, then we'll start to realize that no, we're not really the cause of our own mental illness. It was slavery that caused this. It was the other people that caused this. It wasn't us. That now we're going around here and we're actually feeling guilty because we feel that everything that happens to us is our fault. That's one of the biggest lies they tell us today. And now, everything we go through is your own fault. It has to be self-inflicted. It has nothing to do with your mental illness. So how are we going to solve a mental illness when we don't even diagnose it as a mental illness? So there's black people that are going through a lot of stress, that are dealing with mental illness, but they're not going to no psychiatrist because they've been told to get over it, suck it up, and not even go look for the root cause of it. So basically now you have these YouTubers and people, they tell you black people are just crazy. Black people are just out of control. See, they use words like that when they identify us now. Black people are just out of control. Why can't we be ill? Why can't we have a mental illness? Why can't mental illness be a reason why we're acting the way we're acting? You know why? Because they know if you was to diagnose it as a mental illness, then you'll be able to go deal with it. Oh, now let's get this work. Now you would go see a psychiatrist and you can fix what you're going through mentally. You can deal with the mental stress and the things that you're going through. But they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to catch on to that. So they tell you that it's not really a mental illness. They just say you're out of control. So they misdiagnose you on purpose.